All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Friday, the 10th of September, 2021. And in the week here with SPY coming on a little bit of a down day, close to 1% in the red, 0.8%. It looks like we're down. Nice volume coming in today, too, as well. Just, it's funny because Chris even said, too, man, I'm kind of tempted to buy the dip here because in the past, you can never go wrong buying the dip on SPY, but the SPY just kept dipping and dipping and dipping and dip it, and you said, when's the dip actually gonna happen? And it had a little bit of a dip right in the afternoon session, but then hard fade into the close here, which was interesting to see. By the way, my face is in a different location on the screen. Who dis? Am I right? I'm so alone. Market internals on the day. Nasdaq still pretty low dollar volume, 177 billion. Total dollar volume, nice. 225 billion. OTC markets, 2.0 billion dollar volume. Some decent movers out there, nothing absolutely slam dunk. I had a few tickers on my watch list coming in. SONM was one that was just interesting to me. Nothing really came of it. Really didn't know what trading pattern was there from it. I didn't even think there was any news catalyst on this one. Oh no, that's right. There was a news catalyst of 8:30 the previous day. I think I talked about this one yesterday too, and really no trading plan on this one. Just kind of watched it, had a little morning spike, fake out dump, just choppy the whole way, then pretty much fade into the afternoon and a close there. Nothing really interesting for me to trade. Whoops. Let's do, also to mention too, Bitcoin just hovering around 45. I think it's right now at 44K as of right now. VIX was starting the day at 17. Now we're ending at like 21, pushing that volatility up in that regard. Other ones on the watch list as well. BBIG, of course, which was my only trade on the day. And then GSAT I was keeping an eye on as well that I want to talk about specifically too. Getting into BBIG. Big broke my temporary rule set of the $500 intraday ticker max, but I did it I think I'm stepping out of the way smartly. I think I threw that rule on immediately just as kind of an emergency wake up call to say, hey, you cannot be swinging this much size in chasing efforts. And I don't believe I was chasing this one for the setup I was looking for. I think in my round trip of my third exit here, this was 100% definitely a chase, but of course smaller size, limiting myself in that too. But slinging decent position size in what I wanted to do with this one today. Obviously, this was Bowen's number one watch as well, and even before watching pre-market prep, this was definitely going to be on my radar for the levels that it was holding. If we're looking more on an intra-daily type of chart pattern, to look here, you can see just looking at the daily as well too. Of course, we're just in this massive uptrend, huge volume opportunity coming around this whole time frame. Back to this little intradaily 30-minute candle charts. Of course, it is choppy, but you're getting these little perk and pullbacks. Perk, pullback, finding a base, perk, and then pulling back, finding a base. And today, especially being Friday, we're looking for that huge squeeze. This isn't the massive home run low floater. It's a 47 million float, but of course, the volume's there. This is the big name that everybody's talking about. The chats are absolutely pumping to the skies. Just wasn't in the cards today. And I think, my thought process after the day on this one too was just how I'm still trying to apply the same principles that I think I was learning from or mentors from the past as well too, of what they've learned from and what they've grown up with in their trading career. Of moves pretty much happen right away, and charts, daily charts, intraday charts are just super, super clean, and everything really happens precisely, and there's not a whole lot of chopping in and out, even on a minute by minute basis. Yeah, you can get faked out if you're trading solely back then. You weren't thrown off by what is today, but now, especially today too, and as I'm trying to apply myself and grow my trading career into the future, I've got to understand, and I kind of realized that once again today. I've realized this before, but saying to myself again today, charts aren't going to get more cleaner in a sense. They aren't just going to produce a nice even bottom at a whole dollar level and then shoot to the upside from there. And then everybody rides along for free. Everybody sees the easy pattern to identify and then just totally takes that free money. That just doesn't happen anymore. This is, as of right now, is like the best situation, best case scenario as of clean results we're going to see, because it's the leader. That's all we have to go off to. And I have to realize, especially too, it's not going to get cleaner from this. If I think that I'm not nailing it now, there's no way I'm going to be able to nail it in the future if I don't even plan ahead beyond this ticker, that this type of price action we're seeing now, to understand it's going to be freaking choppy. I've got to be willing to widen my risk tolerance, widen my understanding of where the chart, where the price can go, and a trade still work to the upside, to the downside, if I'm long or short either way. But yeah, that kind of slapped me in the face to realize that if I'm trying to force a type of mindset or chart pattern, how this thing is supposed to move, it doesn't have to move any which way or another. It doesn't care what the heck I think whatsoever. And this is just such an indication too that in the future, coming from the past too, of what we've seen, that I was mentioning, that those chart patterns were kind of super clean, and it was pretty easy in a sense. Of course, I have no experience trading back then, but in looking at those past charts, it's just like, yeah, how could you not make an absolute killing on those types of charts and the patterns? It's so easy to recognize and see. Whereas compared to these charts today, it's like, oof, getting an entry, even just looking at like on a 30-minute time scale here that we have these candles at, even thinking that you could get an entry here, risking a low of day or risking an obvious entry point, is you're still getting chopped out in and out. You could take any metric or any variable here, or pretty much all of these, and say it's kind of a chop fest, and you got to be on your toes the whole freaking time. And yes, there may be little tiny clean levels like today, a little bit of a double bottom right away in the morning on this one, but that's, this is an hour after the market opened. This is pretty much closing the morning session, the morning volatility of when this double bottom happens. And even at that too, then you get this rejection off of VWAP. Then you get a perk back above VWAP, and then you get a hard rejection sell off back under VWAP. And just the mind trickery games that are going on this whole time. And in no way, shape, or form is it clean or healthy to think that these trades or these patterns are holding for a longer intraday time frame is just the best way to go. I know some people can certainly play it, and some people are making an absolute killing, but gosh, that's the pattern that's the mentality that I'm continuing to deal with day in and day out on all these types of charts, all the big percentage movers, that it's not going to get better in a sense, or whatever I think that version of better is a cleaner or more pristine price action, unaltered price action. I got to go from here, and this is the best we've got as of right now. It can only really go down from here in regards to price action as more and more day traders come in to flood this type of system and type of price action. That's where I see it going. So learning from that as well too. So I think going into trades now, this first initial position was like a 10 share position, just again as a little bit of a protection, because I view this and I see, okay, we're rising, putting in higher lows. It's a Friday. This could go absolutely berserk in pre-market, just get a huge spike immediately. So just threw in 10 shares as a mental protection to me, to think I'm identifying this, I'm looking at it, and seeing volume coming in pre. We get this first candle push kind of out of nowhere as VWAP is still rising. VWAP is still pushing. This $0.50 area of 11.5 is looming as well too. Of course, that $12 and then 12.5, which is the full breakout from the 2 days ago. That's what we're looking for, is that breakout trade to the upside. Get that chat pump, get those shorts squeezed. Just had a little bit more legs in it right away after my entry, which I was fine with, but I looked away, of course, and just wasn't so emotionally bagged into the level 2 or the time and sales on this one. And held decently as we bounced off of VWAP here in the pre-market, but just not enough legs, and it dumped under VWAP, held that way into market open. Here I got into, of course, trading this as we get into market open. Still looking at other tickers, I think, just bouncing around, nothing really catching my eye, not really willing to trade it hard within the first few minutes, or the first 1-2 minutes of market open at least, but still I was kind of set an arbitrary risk level of the $11 whole area to cut that small position size of 10 shares, to say, hey, if it goes to 11, I think it could go even further. But of course, I was wrong. That was just a little blip algorithm stop out point to get just below 11, get all those stops out that I think a lot of other people had it, because that's the closest whole dollar area. Perked right back above that. I actually stopped out again a few more times, and then perked back to the upside, back above VWAP, which is where I established I was thinking this is the Willy Wonka W bottom. And actually there was a little bit of a trend. Of course, my mind is just whatever trend was there or not. My mind was just seeing this little bit of a trend bomb being put in here from these lows, maybe this break of what we did here. So kind of this little channel that we did actually break to the upside. And then again, this little bit of a higher low, double bottom. I don't know if it was as clear or as precise on the 1 minute. Yeah, of course, this is totally awkward on the 1 minute. But it did hold to that decently well. And did produce, this little bit of double bottom, a little bit of a higher low, and it broke hard with volume to the upside very quickly. So got another entry, which was my full size position of 100 shares that I wanted to on this trade. And this ticker today, oh my gosh, what a freaking VWAP holder. Again, it wasn't as clear on a 1 minute, at least when I was watching it on my scans, as I had my Thinkorswim chart on tick and my scan chart on the 1 minute. It doesn't really look that obvious on the 1 minute. But looking at this on the tick volume chart, it was pristinely perfect how this thing was just bouncing. We got here, 1, 2, 3. And then finally the eventual crack. That was pretty much the end of the trade for me of that morning session on this one. Which should have been if I was maybe a little bit smarter on this one. But for that second trade, this full-size position, got a decent little bit of a chasey entry, but knowing that this thing, for how minimally volatile it was today, how it's been in the past too, this thing could just go insane quickly without me, and I know for certain that I could get out reasonably, but didn't want to miss that move if and when it was there just right away, still within the first few minutes of market open, not really trading a dip and rip or a consolidation point, just trading, looking to profit off of that sketchy scalpiness in a sense too. So we got some nice holding a VWAP, push to 11.7. We topped out at, pull back hard. Thought it had a little bit more juice, especially as we were dipping off VWAP here. I ended up, as we're getting to this point where it's failing to put in a higher high, and now we're testing these little regional lows, and now it's coming back to VWAP. It's at this point that I knew I was always adjusting my stop as we're establishing new highs here. I'm adjusting my stop from where I had it initially of like low a day or VWAP crack to now I can say, okay, I'm going to put it just above entry. Don't want to take a loss. Get the stop in. Get the stop in especially too, because if this becomes a long trap, it's just going to absolutely wipe out the bottom. And I know I want to be in it beforehand. My fingers are not fast enough for that type of price action. So adjusted it there to like right above my entry, which was 11.33. So put it at 11.34, I think. And then of course VWAP is riding perfectly to that 11.34 level as we're chopping around here, and I'm going, oh shoot, at that point I wish it was almost VWAP was a little bit higher or a little bit lower, because if VWAP is a little bit higher, then you get this opportunity that you could just bounce perfectly off of VWAP, and then I'm safe underneath it with my stop and still above my entry point. Or if VWAP was a little bit lower, then I could say then I could get out of the mindset of, oh, now I'm in this position where I was with this one of, okay, am I trying to get out at break even? Am I risking VWAP? Do I think it could just poke a little bit below that? Maybe tap like 11.32 or something, just fake out everybody that's trading VWAP. So that was tough, and it was literally stab in the heart as I see price action just continually ticking, and literally taps it like a kitten, just tap, and takes me out. And then immediately perks right back up to 11.48. And of course, that wasn't any continuation, but it was so funny to watch here that my stop is sitting here waiting, because I know too, especially if we go under VWAP, that thing could absolutely fall out of the bottom. My stop is sitting there and just keeps slowly going, tap, and then perks right back up immediately. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. So that's fault on me. That's where everybody else had their stops too, and that's more learning lessons to trade off of in the future of, maybe looking at it in a little different perspective, as if I did have an entry point under VWAP or a little bit of buying on the dips here, considering maybe 11.2 as an entry or a risk level for an exit on that one. But bounce off of VWAP, I thought this third trade, was a little bit of a chase here, but I thought the morning session really wasn't over. I thought we still had definitely a lot of opportunity left. The volume wasn't insane on this one today. The trades in total were 100,000 less trades on this one today compared to yesterday, which was surprising to see. Of course, volume a little bit less than yesterday too, but pretty lackluster on a Friday. I was surprised to see. I wonder what Bowen thought of this one too, if he even traded it. I'd be surprised to see if he actually traded it, but then So with this third entry and exit, a little bit of a chasey, and then arbitrarily again set a random risk level at 11.5, that hold our level. I just got stopped out pretty much immediately after that on 20 shares, 30 shares, maybe 50 shares. I think I way oversized even for that small of a chase entry for that trade. So ended up being like an $8 loss in total on the day all around for my in and outs on that one. And hard fade into the close here. It'll be tough to see. We need a lot more volume to come in if we want to see a 12.5 break or anything more volatile to come out of this one, but just tough day on that one of what could have been. GSAT I also wanted to get into as well. Didn't trade this one. BBIG was my only trade entry. This one has been one of those ones that's that super high floater. Really don't know why it's been up. No huge news that I see here. We got 424B3s from the 3rd of September. I see. Oh no, hold on. That's BBIG. Yeah, nothing huge on the news catalyst I see. So just manipulation galore I see on this one. And the real trade I wanted to see, if we didn't get just an immediate perk right out of the gate, which I was definitely going to be a part of, and look for that $3 whole level break, knowing that, again, I was going to get in pretty early if it did get a nice spike, but that it loves to spike very early right away from market hours and just go quickly without you. And then there's really no opportunity after that to join that chase or join that uptrend in a sense. So I was just ready, keeping my eye on the trigger, keeping the chart up and focused with my order ready to go if that was going to happen from market open. Didn't happen. So then the trade became, which I also was aware of and planning on beforehand, is I'm looking at this one wanting to see a little bit of a sell-off and basing once again, because kind of similar to BBIG in a sense too, but even more so obvious on GSAT. You get this big perk, whether it's in pre-market or more market hours. You get the perk, a day of sell-off consolidation. Again, another day of just a little bit of sell-off, but perfect basing here. This was 186 on that day, or 185, whatever. Then you get another spike. Pullback, consolidation, sell-off, whatever, sell-off. But then basing, once again, 205 here. This looks like on that one. Another perk to the upside. A little bit of a sell-off and just kind of chopping around, yada, yada. What I was looking for, we get potentially here. Going on 5 minute. Trying to see, you get maybe a little sell-off to this 247, 246, whatever. This little bottom here, even this low could have worked as well too. Get perk above VWAP, maybe like it played out here, and then you get that little pullback, and then it just kind of fades to that 246, 245, and holds that into the close. I was going to slap that with pretty much everything I own, my first child, everything, looking to overnight that one, wanting to play a similar type of overnight pattern or any type of pre-market move going into Monday of next week. Not really expecting any after-hours moves or pre-market moves for that next trading day, but looking to play, of course, risking that low, thinking that the trade would definitely be over at that point. If it just broke that, then it'd just be like, okay, whatever it wants to do. But it's just kind of rinse and repeat. It's be doing the same thing over and over again on this day that it's done the past few trading days. And it seems like such an obvious and easy pattern to me. And maybe that's too obvious in a sense as a trading philosophy. But of course, looking at I think a few other guys in the chat as well to look to play this one as an afternoon type of setup, when I really, in my opinion, this to me was a failed breakout in a sense. So now looking back at the chart, what actually happened today, tempted a lot of the times in here, really in this area, to say, ooh, okay, this held VWAP, okay, could move a little bit higher. And then you get to some nice perkiness here, thinking, okay, it could test decently well. And then it sells off and just kind of holds this open price, this same just little tiny range here. And now my thesis with this one is this is a failed breakout. This was an attempt, with volume coming in here too, especially looking on this volume chart as well. Volume tried to come in to make the move happen today, but it was just a waste. I would have thought this, okay, hold out again. You've been doing the same thing the past week, over a week, for what type of price action you've been doing. Hold over the weekend, and then let's get some craziness on Monday too. Get that Monday morning fever going. It could be absolutely awesome. So while the other guys were trading this one and saying, oh yeah, it just didn't have the legs, blah, 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 whatever, I thought that even tenfold, that why would you do this today? There's no way going into, yeah, to me, I looked at it very differently with a different lens, I think. Coming with that pre-notion that I mentioned from pre-market, that the trade I was looking for was little sell-off, perk above VWAP, potentially whatever, but then more pullback and basing, finding another basing area to play along off of with an awesome risk-reward potential on that. But it didn't happen, so I really don't know what trade could or can happen over the weekend on this one. Of course, if more volume wants to come in and that 2.9 level starts to get pushed again, of course, that $3 whole level is a perfect emotional level to trade off of as well. But that was tough. It just, yeah, really varied from the perspective I thought should have been placed on this ticker. Of course, that has no relevance whatsoever, but that's what I was hoping to trade off of on that one today. So other tickers I wanted to mention as well. GEVO, of course, had that nice full day trend yesterday. And then today, just pure sell-off. Trend was down 12% from yesterday's close. Not insane volume, I think, as well from that day, but it's just interesting to see 120,000 trades, $271 million volume. Yeah, the volume nowhere near what it did, what it had to, what it needed in order to push that type of price action as of yesterday. Potentially could do something Monday morning if we find a little, of course, the $7 whole level area is right here. Could find some support-ish in that little bit of a range, maybe find 10% move on the upside from there and a third day surge type of play. I'll keep an eye on it. I don't know if I'm very motivated to trade it. Of course, this is a super high floater of 188 million. So we will take a look at it. And of course, it's short sale restricted as well too. So we'll factor that in going into Monday as well. SPRT merger finally approved at the 11:30 time frame. Had a bit of a volume perk to the upside off of that news, and then just hard slam immediately after that too. Just kind of out of nowhere. It's going, okay, well, this thing's dead. And that's kind of, yeah, really cemented it now that we're in the backside. It's going to be hard to see if any more news catalysts or what could resurrect this thing to produce the insane spikeage that it used to have. Somebody that I used to know. But that was that one. Going into, I also wanted to mention MOXC. Of course, this is that former runner, not the most beautiful price action intraday to look at, but this is that former runner, nice. Is it a low floater as well too? Chinese company, super sketch, 15 million floater, has known to be a little bit crazy in the past too, and we're kind of in this range. It had a nice green day yesterday on not a lot of volume, and this little range we're trading in here, yeah, it's putting in lower lows, but if we get a perk above here, the volume profile as well on the daily looks very nice. That is, once you're able to get over that kind of $8-9-ish area, it's pretty clear skies until you get to like roughly 12-13-ish type of area. So thinking we could test any of this little range here. Of course, huge bag holders overhead, if they're still in this trading this thing, that could keep the price action down, which I think potentially happened today too. So I don't really put a lot of weight into this one. I just wanted to mention it. That was another one I was keeping an eye on for the price action I had yesterday, but it was kind of confirmed today too that yeah, it's dead. We can take it off the watch list as of right now. Another trade I'm kind of interested in to look at is SPY, of course. We get this hard down day today. And then we're looking at the VIX. The VIX even shows too that when we get these nice green days in the VIX, never really, of course, minus here, you never really get that second day continuation of a green day. It's just kind of sponsored by, okay, got a big green day here and then followed by a red day. Big green, a wide green candle here followed by, not necessarily a wide-bodied red candle, but wide red candle. Green day here, spikeage, followed by that red candle. Green day candle here, followed by that red candle. Could trade that thesis on the SPY itself. Maybe we get a bounce day on the SPY coming into Monday. But just kind of interested in maybe potentially looking at some put options on the VIX. Of course, that would be a Friday expiration, so it wouldn't be as volatile if I wanted to trade that just intraday on the Monday, which would be the least percentage volatility-wise for any trade like that. Just an interesting little note that potentially I could look into just maybe take an educational paper trade on its mental paper trade just to see if anything like that could work. But because of course, SPY just even on a red day, we could see some quick reversal coming into next week on SPY, or it could start the downtrend now. We will definitely be watching. That is all I had for today on the Friday. I sincerely thank you guys for watching, listening to my blabbering, listening to my continual losses once again, just stupid chasey trades, and refining myself better and better, establishing the watch list better, I think, every single day, and my preparation aspect. I think that just works so much better for my mental way of living, in a sense too, of I need to have that preparation aspect, and I don't function best when it's just see green, buy it, see red, buy it. That's just not my trading style, and I'm still, for some reason, trying to chase that for some reason and think I can make a profit on it. I think I was scarred a little bit from the 2020 market, that I made a little bit of a profit because of the craziness that pattern is subconsciously built in a little bit to me. So I'm trying to subdue that as best as I can, tamp down those feelings, those urges to just fill the dopamine vessels in my head and fill that need, when the reality and the truth of it is that that's not what I'm here for the markets for. I want to make money and just run away as fast as I can. I'm here to take my little tiny scalp, and scalp in quotes, not necessarily scalping as a trading philosophy, but just take my little tiny slice and run away as fast as I can. So that's all I'm looking to do. That is all I had. I sincerely thank you guys again for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.